G'day guys, today again I've got Adrian Patty from AP Financial Solutions all the way down from Sydney. So thanks for coming in, Adrian.
Good to be here again, Phil.
So Adrian, I've got a question. How much does it cost to get financial advice?
Well, there's been a range of reports in the past about how much it costs. Sometimes it's about $3,500, but at the moment on the ASIC website, Money Smart, it's between $2,000 and $4,000, which is reasonable. It's a reasonable expectation of what it's going to cost for that initial upfront cost to engage with an advisor.
Okay. So what about, you said about $2,000 to $4,000. What happens if someone goes and sees an advisor and they're charging less or even over that? Is there anything to be worried about?
Yeah, well, in charging less than that, I'd just be a bit wary that you're getting comprehensive advice, because there's a lot that goes into comprehensive advice. So if they are charging under that, if it's under $1,000, I'd just be wary about the level of service and advice that you're getting there. If it's above that range, don't be too worried, because often there is very good reasons for advisors needing to charge higher than that. Depending on your complexity of situation, the range of services being provided, and the amount of work that goes into that advice. So it can go higher. But there's often a good reason. And
yeah, there's got to be a value exchange. If it's going higher, you've got to see value in the extra cost. Great. So you talked about there being work involved in getting the advice. So what type of work is involved from the advisor that it costs between $2,000 to $4,000?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of work that goes in. From what the client sees to what goes on in the background, there can be a bit of a difference. You get the initial meetings up front, so that can be 1, 2, sometimes you might even require a third meeting, and that's face-to-face, 1 to 2 hours with an advisor. Sometimes support staff are in there. You've then got the extra information that needs to be gathered. So for good advice to be done, we need to know a lot about your situation, and often that'll mean we're calling around, getting further information from you, from your financial institutions, to get a full picture of your situation. And then it goes into the strategy development, and there's a lot of things that go into the strategy development. So we'll be looking at what is appropriate for your preferences and your goals and objectives, and then we'll look at some alternatives just to make sure that we're on the right track. After we come up with a bit of a recommendation there, we'll then start to flesh out how we're going to implement it, what do we need, what financial products will be useful to help you execute that, and we'll have a recommendation for you. But to get to that stage, it's often 20 hours, can be up to 30 to 40 hours depending on the advice. So there's a lot of time that goes into this process, and that's the reason for the price of advice being there.
Yep. And you also mentioned, $2,000 to $4,000 is a good figure. How do we pay for that advice? Is it just stump up the cash out of our bank account? Is that how we pay for it?
Yeah, there's a few ways of charging. Historically, a lot of it's come out of the financial product. These days, you're going to get a fee for service, so it might come just out of your bank account. You may be able to pay out of your credit card. There's also commissions that advisors receive, so part of the advice could be paid for by a commission received. And you can also pay from within investment products as well. But the main thing is that whatever the remuneration the advisor is going to receive, it's going to be disclosed to you. So you're going to have an understanding, and it's going to be very clear that where the money's come from and how it's getting to the advisor.
Yeah, exactly. So it's fully disclosed, and you as a consumer need to be understanding before you kind of sign off saying, yeah, let's go ahead, exactly how the advisor is going to get paid for the work. Okay, great. So you talked about an initial cost. Is there any other ongoing cost involved with getting advice?
Yeah, most of my clients I deal with on an ongoing basis, so they pay me a monthly fee, and what that's doing is if I gave you a financial plan, a lot of people would look at it, go, oh, that's good, and they may not execute it. And this is the issue with financial advice. If we don't have this ongoing relationship, a lot of the time the benefits aren't going to be realised for our clients. So our role here is to keep clients accountable, to make sure the benefits are received by them, and make sure everything's been done to improve their situation on an ongoing basis, and review what's been recommended initially.
Yeah, exactly. So for myself, I tell every client that you can walk away with a plan and not pay me any ongoing fee. But for the majority of clients I see, the fact that they've got an advisor who can kind of keep adjusting that financial plan along the way when life changes, because life is always going to change, and making sure that I'm holding their hand, making sure that keeping them accountable to the goals that they've set. That's the reason people pay me an ongoing fee to help them manage their finances.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Adrian, for coming in. Really appreciate you kind of tackling a subject that is not talked about all that often, and just giving us a really good clarity around advisors' fees. So I appreciate you coming in.
Glad I can help.
So thanks, guys. I'll put Adrian's details below, so go check him out on Facebook, LinkedIn, send him an email, tell him how amazing his tan looks. So thanks again, Adrian. I'll see you guys next week.
Cheers.
Mate, you've repeated yourself so many times. You repeated a whole massive section then. I'll show you later.
Can you cut it?
Yeah, I'll cut it. Okay. This bit is, what am I asking?
Sure.
My
waffling's,
yeah.
it's contagious. It's going on here.